I've vastly overtrained as a teenager. As a 14, 15-year-old, definitely. You know, back in them days, about 4 years ago, TikTok wasn't as prevalent. I probably didn't even have Instagram at 14. And, like, proper raw education was not popular back then at all. And to be honest, I was probably watching bullshit content as well. As a 14, 15-year-old, you know, you could probably relate like to watching like content that would just not help you in any way, shape or form. So kudos and props to the people that are watching this genuinely educational video as a teenager, because there's not many people like you and you are on a good path to achieving all the goals that you want. There's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of worry still within the journey that you take when to build a good physique or want to do well in business, etc., etc., whatever you decide to do. And I just wanted to bring some reassurance. The fact that you're watching a video like this is genuinely a really good indicator that you will achieve all the goals that you set out to be. You're serious on this as a teenager, while being in school, while being in college, while studying, etc. You have a busy life, and you reserve some of it for watching genuine education. So I'm genuinely proud of you for that, bro. Because I was not doing this as a 14, 15-year-old. Definitely not. And this showed in my training. It showed in my training I was doing 3, 4, 5 sets per exercise, doing 3 or 4 exercises per muscle group per session, then doing 2 sessions. So I was doing 8 exercises per muscle group per week with like 3 or 4 sets. That's like, what, 24 to 32 sets per muscle group per week, and that is vastly overtraining. And then I was wondering why I wasn't consistent. I was wondering why am I not sticking to the gym? Why do I feel sore all the time? Why do I feel extremely tired so I can't do anything else? And it's because I was not managing my volume correctly. I was not training correctly within the correct volume. I was doing too many sets, too many reps, training everything till failure. I was just over fatiguing my central nervous system entirely, and it was actually regressing to my gains. Now, back then I thought I was extremely productive. I thought, yeah, I do more sets than other people, so I make more gains, being a naive, cocky teenager. However, that's not the case. I want to give you some humility here, a lesson in that more isn't always better. And I teach this in my course. There's a direct module in my course called More Isn't Better, and you'll learn exactly why that works and how it works within the bodybuilding space. So first link in the description if you want to absolutely transform your physique. However, I didn't actually truly know, because the fitness industry didn't have very good educators. They were just full of influencers who just wanted views off you and buy their product, etc., etc., and like not actually giving them truly good information. So the knowledge that I have now was not available to me back then, so I was just training incorrectly. So I want to give you the correct knowledge of how to manage your volume so you have great recovery and just great sessions in general. Now, I seen this nutritionist talk about it, and he was asked, he's like a professional in like recovery and sleep, etc. And he was asked, like, when you go to train in the gym, because bodybuilding is such a strenuous activity, what's the best things that you could do to maximize recovery? And he did it in like a tier list. You know, you have like S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and it was interesting. In S tier, he put something that I hear no one talk about. So in F tier, etc., he put like, you know, like massage guns or like physical items that are supposed to help you recovery but don't. And then as you got further up the list, he said in S tier was volume management. So deciding how much work you're going to do, it actually directly correlates to how much recovery you'll get. If you're working enough to stimulate muscle growth but not too much to be extremely fatiguing, you're going to recover a lot better, because you're not overtraining, you're not stressing your body out excessively, so you're able to recover for the next session, rather than the person version of myself when I was 14, 15, doing so many sets and just not being able to recover from it, and then wondering why I'm not pushing as hard the next session, I'm not lifting as much weight as normal, I'm not making as much muscle. It's because I wasn't managing my volume correctly, and therefore I wasn't recovering correctly or building muscle correctly. So we're going to talk about how to perfectly manage your volume for every stage of the fitness journey, and what your workload and work intensity should look like within a training session. Again, I provide this is all provided in my training workout routines that I provide in my course. Below is a top link in the description if you want to transform your physique. So the general rule is 8 to 15 sets per muscle group per week. So what does that mean? So when you do a set in the gym, it's like, Oh, I did a set of 10, so one working set, if that makes sense. And then you usually do two of those per muscle group. Sorry, two of those per exercise. And you probably hit two exercises per muscle group per session. And then you're probably doing two sessions per week. So that's how it works out. So you see, you do two sets per exercise, you're doing two exercises, so that's already four sets per muscle group per session, and then you do two sessions, so it's 8 sets per muscle. I just lagged there, bro. 8 sets per muscle group per week, and that's probably about the minimum you should be doing. For a beginner, I would probably say that you should be aiming for like around 12 to 14, just because as an extremely a beginner, you're not going to be training as intense as if you are when you're more experienced. As you get more experience and as you carry on going to the gym, you'll understand that you can actually train harder, and you will train harder. I've actually just hit a barrier myself where it's like, oh shit, I'm training really hard, but I could train even harder, and now I'm leaning into that proper, intense, grueling training sessions, and I guarantee that I'm going to make so much more muscle from leaning into that rather than just being like, oh, it hurts a bit, so I'll put it down. I was training really hard anyway, but I found an extra level, so I'm going to lean into that. So as you get more experience, you'll probably end up wanting to do maybe 8 to 12 sets per muscle group per week, just because you'll be training more intensely. Again, things will become more fatiguing. But as a beginner, you're not going to really be very, very good at that as naturally as you are when you start out at anything. You're not going to be very good at any particular skill. So I'd probably say aim for around 12 sets per muscle group per week. So for example, triceps, maybe you do an overhead press, and then maybe you do a JM press and a skull crusher. So you do 2 sets of an overhead press, 2 sets of a JM press, and 1 set of a skull crusher. And then if you do that in 2 sessions per week, you're instantly at 10 sets for triceps per week, which I think is a fucking great place to be for building muscle for the triceps. Now, obviously as a beginner you want to be higher because you won't be training as intensely. This battles soreness as well. So I seen a guy that was in the community that I was in, kind of like YSL, and he was like, I go to the gym really consistently, and I'm just struggling with soreness. Like, I'll train legs on the Tuesday, and then the Tuesday later I'm still feeling excruciatingly sore, and I'm unable to recover from the next session. And he was like, can I have any help? And what I said to him was, prioritise resting enough. So this is a quick tip, like make sure you get 3 to 4 minutes of rest in between sets for isolation exercises, and 4 to 5 minutes of rest in between sets of compound exercises. I teach that in my program as well. But I was like, are you overtraining too much? How many sets? And he put his workout routine in there. And I was like, look at your workout routine. I was like, you're training way too much. You're doing way too many sets, way too many reps. Like, he was going up to 13, 14, 15 reps on a leg press, and I was like, but that is way too much. So now he's in the process of reducing the amount of reps he does, reducing the amount of sets he does per muscle group per week, managing his volume, and I'm assuming and I'm hoping that his soreness will drastically decrease. So if you're someone that feels very sore after a workout, you feel like, oh god, I can't train today because I already feel so sore and so fatigued, this could be a reason for it. The main reason is that you're not managing your volume correctly, because it is the most efficiency for volume. It is super important that you don't over fatigue through volume management. We said, like, this is the most efficient way to over fatigue, and if you over fatigue, you're just not going to build as much muscle. It's that straight up, that simple, that straightforward. And we understand that bodybuilding is strenuous exercise, and everyone talks about overtraining. If you go like twice a day, you know, like the old Arnold bodybuilders, etc. In that era, they went twice a day, 3 times a day, and now that would be considered overtraining. And this is why, if you over fatigue, your central nervous system isn't going to be able to push as much as possible, and that way you're not going to be able to make as much muscle as possible. So it's extremely beneficial that you maximise your volume management, hitting 8 to 15 sets per muscle group per week. If you're a beginner, try and aim for that 12, 13, 14 range. And if you're, as you get like a year or 2 down, maybe minimise that to 8 to 12. as you get training more intensely. If you're someone that has already done some sports in the past and you're able to like, yeah, I know what intensity training feels like, so I'm going to do that. Probably aim for 8 to 12 because you're going to be training till failure and it's going to be excruciatingly painful, excruciatingly fatiguing. So I aim for that lower range of 8 to 12 sets per muscle group per week. Again, if you need help constructing a workout routine, we provide that all in my paid product below. I have already constructed multiple workout routines to fit your lifestyle and also that hits this 8 to 15 sets per muscle group per week general rule. That way your volume management will be absolutely spot on. You will never have to think about this in your entire fitness journey. That's why I think that my product is genuinely the best product that I've ever made, because it's just already done for you. Everything's already done. All this that I talk about training hard, volume management, form correctly, everything, even down to like helping with your academics, because I know you're in college or school, all of it is covered. And instead of neurotically thinking and having to come up with it yourself, it's already provided there for you, so you can just trust in the things that I've built for you over 3.5 years of experience in the gym, and you can just mindlessly do it and make the best gains that you've ever possibly made. You'll be in the correct emotional frequency and you'll just make the best gains that you've ever possibly made. It's that simple. That is the promise that I make. So I genuinely think it is 100% worth it to get this paid product, and you will make the best gains you've ever made. And also, second link in the description is my Instagram, so if you want any personal advice, you ever think like, oh, is my training workout good enough, you can send it over there and give you advice on it. Are you hitting enough sets per week? Are you hitting too many? Are you hitting too little? And then obviously my advice can span further than that into your entire fitness journey, and it can get really specific. So I think it would be a good action for you to be able to get some specific advice from me by message on my Instagram. I'll help you directly through that as well. So that's how to correctly optimize volume management to be able to build a great physique. I can't wait for you to have a good session today, and you're going to make the best gains you've ever possibly made. I'll see you later, bro.